Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tactical Harmony. I am so excited to introduce today's guest, who is Nami Prakash. Nami is a leadership coach, speaker, and the founder of the Mind Quotient, a framework born from her own journey of healing and transformation. After more than 20 years in corporate leadership, she realized that true success is not just about strategy, it's about mastering the mind. Today, she embodies courageous leadership by teaching inner mastery through the MQ framework. She is also the author of Healing with Courage, the origin story of her work, which captures the deeply personal journey that led her to redefine leadership from within. Nami, welcome to Tactical Harmony.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. I love everything you're doing with Tactical
Oh,
Harmony.
thank you. I appreciate it. I love everything you're doing. And so I'm not going to hesitate. Let's dive right on in. Okay, you spent 20 plus years in corporate leadership and then things shifted. And I'm curious, was there a moment or moments or a breaking point or a breakthrough that you realize strategy is not enough or can only get you so far?
Yes. And that breakdown point was in my closet of my New York City loft. I call it rock bottom's basement. And I remember sitting on the floor thinking, oh my gosh, this can't be all there is. I had on the outside, it looked great. I had like VP job, marriage that looked amazing on the outside, three beautiful kids, and the budding career in pharmaceutical marketing. And on the inside, I was just broken and I didn't even know it. And I was hoping that somebody would come and save me. And when I realized in that closet on the floor that nobody was going to save me and that the only option was to save myself, that was the shifting point because I had gotten that to that place by really being really smart, really intelligent, really strategic. Fake it till you make it used to be my motto. And it was serving me what would seem like well, but when your insides are all ripped up and broken and you're projecting something fake on the outside, it can only get you so far. And it landed me on that closet floor.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so vulnerable. That's so real. And I can see you, I can feel you reliving that moment. Like you're like, I remember exactly where I was. You probably remember the color of things, what surrounded you, the smell, the season, the moment, the hour. It's crazy how our brains and our bodies just like memorize and take a picture
Yes.
of that moment.
Yes. Oh, I remember. I remember the music playing. I remember everything. Yes. Except I don't remember what I was wearing, but that's okay.
Okay, we'll give you a little bit of grace. All right. Well, so the mind quotient, first of
Yeah.
all, and when we first met, I celebrated you because I think it's so genius. I mean, mindset is the essence of tactical harmony when we talk about.
Yes.
So MQ, love. Tell me what it is and how does it play or intersect with IQ and EQ?
Okay, I love that you asked me that, and thank you. So here, I'll start with that. So imagine IQ is what gets you in the room as a leader, right? That's what got you there. EQ is how you read the room. It's all about your emotional intelligence, which the whole world deemed emotional quotient. It didn't even actually start as an emotional quotient, but how you lead the room and how you show up in the room, that's all on the inside. And that is the missing one. And so that is MQ. And that's actually how it came to me because it was so when I pulled myself off that closet floor, I went on its whole inner journey. And that's when I became a coach. And that's when I discovered I'm living with trauma. So I went into trauma therapy and then trauma coaching. And, then I started coaching myself and I was really like immersed into it, the healing journey. But and then it was the pandemic. And I noticed that myself and many people in our community, especially those in personal and professional development and in the space where we're working on the inside, were thriving while everyone else was barely surviving. Like they were literally getting by. And I was like, because that's the one, it's that piece right there, which is so important and not really taught formally. Of course, once you get to a certain point, you have access to coaches and development personally, professionally. But then, because I'm a former scientist, so it's important to know that my first career was a scientist um, in biomedical engineering and pharmaceutical space. And so I used to do all sorts of research. And so I was like, oh, I know what's missing. We're just not all using the same language. Because if we all use the same language, then we'll know how important it is. So I went searching for it. And when I couldn't find it, then I said, oh, okay. And I wrote down the mind quotient. I circled it. I remember even that moment. And that was it. Since then, it became a mission. The mission is to establish MQ as the third quotient, so not IQ or EQ, MQ, all about inner mastery, mastery of the mind, which is the most powerful tool we have.
I could not agree more. It all starts within. All answers lie within. It all starts within. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. And it's taking ownership and radical accountability of all parts of you, mind, body, spirit. That includes your emotions, that
Yes.
includes your intelligence. And
Yes.
so that leads me to my next question. So a lot of, as we know, in leadership frameworks, classes, conferences, masterminds, you name it, books, all of it, a lot of it starts with strategy and all the things outside of you.
Yes.
And you started the mind quotient MQ. Okay, no, we start with the mind. Why do you think that so many people get it backwards? And why is it so important to start within before the other things and before the strategy?
I love that you asked that, and I'm hoping that we can flip it.
Let's do
So
it.
the MQ framework. So this is actually what happened because I learned it later, and because I was like broken on that closet floor, thinking, "Oh my gosh, I wish I had known this so much earlier." So I went back and I rewinded all the way back. What was the very, very, very first shift I made when I went on this journey? And it was that I stopped looking externally and I started looking internally. That was the shift. That was the literal shift. And I said, okay, what if we teach people to do that? Just teach people by taking a simple test that asks all the questions that you think about on the inside. And so that's what we have at mqcheckin.com. And it's literally just 20 questions about yourself. And if you can start to think about yourself, then what happens is everything else just follows because now you've just shifted that attention from external to internal. And then hopefully you don't have to get to a place where there's some type of crisis or chaos that will then force you to look on the inside. What we're hoping to do with the mind quotient is catch you upstream so that you do that work before you go all the way down into some type of crisis, because that's typically when we start to look on the inside. And so the strategy is so important. There's absolutely a need for strategy, but strategy doesn't mean anything if you're not aligned on the inside.
Amen. It's true. It's true. And I think especially in today's world, and I have so much privilege and honor to interact with incredible people such as yourself. And they all have the same message theme. They might say it a little bit differently, but it's within, it's the mindset. It starts within. And we look in today's world, today's society, and there's so many people that are focusing on the strategy. And we're not saying that strategy is not, we're not saying that IQ is not important. We're not saying that EQ is not important. It absolutely has its place and it's very important. But it does start within. It starts with the mind. So in your work, in your coaching, in your experience, is there a common misconception that you see that people have when they think they're mastering the mind? Like, is there something you're like, no, 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 no? Like, I see you smiling, so I'll let you answer.
Yes, I love that question, and I actually just talked about it. I think earlier this week. The biggest misconception, which is one that I used to carry, is that I am my mind. So not even realizing that we are separate from it. Like, yes, it produces so many thoughts. I think it's like what, a million every like 10 seconds or something. Like it's some insane number. And we think that we are our thoughts. So we often attach ourselves to most of our thoughts or play into that narrative. When you master, and in a way, your mind is mastering you and you don't even realize it. So when we realize that we are separate from the mind and we have the ability to use it as a tool and master it and use it to our advantage, then everything shifts Just because we created that thought doesn't mean we have to attach to it. Just because there's a narrative there doesn't mean we have to buy into it anymore. Just because that's something that we heard and society is telling us that doesn't mean it's truth. And so I think that's the biggest misconception. And I can say that because I used to have it. And so once I fully understood that, oh, this is a very powerful tool that we have that is created to do many amazing, wonderful things, but it can also be our detriment if we don't realize that we have power over it.
Yes, use it or it will use you. And it
Yes.
is a tool and it requires a detachment. And I think that's hard for a lot of people in my experience because it's detaching from your ego. And I don't just mean that in the sense of egotistical or arrogance, but I mean that like your emotions and like what you take pride in and detaching from that and then analyzing it and taking a look at it. I'm like, okay, because I can hear a lot of things. It doesn't mean it's true, right? Is this fact, is this fiction, and kind of really look at it because there's so much that goes through our head, like you said, like there's so much that goes through our head, but it doesn't define you unless you allow it to.
Yes, that is so true. And, I think that there's some misconceptions also around mindset with, for example, meditation. And people think that, oh, in order to control my mind, I have to meditate. And I'm not good at meditation. That's something that we hear often. And so I get it, like that I was somebody who didn't grow up meditating and I didn't, when I started I'm fully immersed into it. The very first thing I did was sign up for a Buddhist like course, which was like an intensive, which may not have been the best way to introduce myself into that space. However, it did teach me a lot. And what I did realize is that that judgment that we had, so it's the judgment that we have towards our thoughts and our, the things that come up, our reactions and all that, that's actually where we get stuck. If when you're going into meditations, if you don't judge the thoughts and the patterns and everything that's coming up and maybe just approach it with curiosity and try to understand a little bit more where it's coming from, then you start to be able to actually take some of that power back. It's a very compassionate way of approaching self-leadership.
I love that. And my people know I am a meditator. I love meditations. I just got back from an advanced follow-up retreat with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's just it's so good. And yes, you were so right. And girl, you went right in like sink or swim. Like you did like we're gonna have to talk about this retreat, like part two podcast. I don't even know. Maybe we'll do one just on meditation. But it is so true. And there's something that, at least in the Dr. Joe community, that we always say, there are no bad meditations.
Yeah, I
They
like
don't
that.
exist. Take the rock. Let me take the rock out of your pack. And a lot of folks that are in my world, are like, hey, you meditate. Let me hear about it. And like, oh, I can't do that. That's not for me. I can't stop my mind. My mind
Yeah.
races. I was like, well, that's natural. It's monkey mind. You think when I sit down, I'm an analytic mind, like you, and my degrees in forensic science. Like that's how I'm wired. And so it does take me more to overcome my analytical self and to overcome myself. And it does take me a minute to tame the animal, so to speak. But you have the power, and it lies with it.
So, in the Mind Quotient, and I talk about this quite a bit, especially with trying to get children to meditate, is that I realized somewhere along the way that meditation is creating space between your thoughts. So it's actually in the space that you really truly tap into yourself. So it's the creating that space between thoughts. And one of the ways that many people do it is tapping into something that they really used to love as a child. So for some people, it's coloring, it can be playing music, it could be swinging, it could be some of the things that you really used to love as a child. If running, if you do them, you actually might get into that space where you can create space between your thoughts. And that presence is where you can really truly connect with your true self. And that's why like we just ask like have you been able to create some space between your thoughts rather than meditate formally because that might not fit
Mhm.
everyone.
I love that. That is beautiful. And it's a safe space, and it's a wonderful way to characterize it because it's exactly what it is. and to be, like you said, approach it with curiosity, be playful with it. And you can absolutely get into trance, right? Like a
Yes.
slower brain waves. Like right now we're in beta, then you go into alpha, then theta, and then
Yes.
delta is when you're sleeping. And so okay, sorry. See, I can't stop the slang. Like you got to be patient with me. The neural
And I
slang.
love this stuff. So
I know you're like, "No." But anyway, when you lower your brain, when you slow down your brain waves, you can do that in cooking. You can do that
yes.
walking your dog outside. And so if sitting down and doing closing your eyes and unplugging from this virtual reality headset isn't your jam, but singing a playful song or doing some dance or dancing while you're cooking and lighting a candle and like getting the vibe and the ambience going,
Yes.
do that. Do
Do
that.
that. So
Oh,
my mom always says this. My mom is like an amazing home chef, and she says like, I don't meditate. And I'm like, but you cook. That is your meditation. That is, and so I love that you brought that up. Yeah.
oh, that's sweet. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many different ways. And, for those that are interested in meditation or maybe you're dabbling with it, don't use that word. Use a word that resonates with you and do something that feels good, that gets you into that flow state and where you lose time, you lose space, and you're just in that moment. You're fully present. I mean, it could be taking a bath. I mean, don't overthink it. Just allow yourself to move with what feels aligned and intuitive, just like Nami teaches in the Mind Quotient. I love it. Okay. So, question for you. So, we talk about inner mastery. Inner mastery takes some work, right? Like we hear the word and like, okay, well, what does that mean? Mastering my mind. Like I can understand it, in theory, but it does require a lot. So so what does it actually mean? What does it require and what does it demand of you when we say inner mastery?
I love it because it's actually so simple and it's so accessible that we almost already are primed to do it. So having a high MQ is very easy. All you have to do is have full self-awareness and fully understand how to manage yourself. So self-management, and then the result will be aligned execution. It's so easy. Now, if you're okay, I'm going to get into this a little bit. So the self-awareness piece. So 85 to 90% of people will tell you that they're self-aware, but actually only 10 to 15% of people are. And so, somebody who listens to this might be like, oh, self-awareness, that's fine, that's easy. So let me tell you what it is. It's being aware of your own emotions, reactions, and how you show up and how certain things may trigger a certain type of reaction out of you, how you're going to, just the understanding of that fully. So that's called internal self-awareness. But there's also external self-awareness, and that is how other people perceive you. So if you think that when you show up a certain way and you do something like how you walk into a room and you think you're being really connecting and you're really being kind and graceful, but somebody else says that you're actually taking too much space and you're speaking too much and taking over a room, and you don't have the awareness around that, your internal self-awareness doesn't match your external self-awareness. Therefore, you are not self-aware. So the only way that you can deepen internal self-awareness is through introspection. The only way you can deepen external self-awareness is through feedback. So actually seeking feedback about how did you perceive what I just said? So I sometimes do that with my children. I'll say something and then their face will fall. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that didn't come across. I thought I was being supportive, but then their face fell. And I would say, hey, what happened there? How come you reacted that way to me? And they said, oh, it was your tone or something I might not have been aware of. I just built my self-awareness. And so once you become self-aware, which is a huge part of inner mastery, then, okay, now so what? I came across rude because of my tone, maybe, but I don't want to do that. So what am I going to do about it? Or I realize I'm really tired today and I don't really have the energy to do many of the things I want to do. Okay, what am I going to do about that? First of all, I realized self-awareness. I realized it. Now, self-management, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to renew my energy. Now, as a leader, when you have this self-awareness of how you're showing up and what you need to do in order to manage yourself and get to a place of where you want to show up, that there, that is inner mastery. That's how you lead the room.
Hmm. Yes. Oh gosh. There's so many applications for that. And it is so true. And it requires honest communication with yourself and with others. And like, I love that example that you gave. It's so relatable with your children. Like, clearly they're going to be immediate feedback to you, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
mom, like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, then, but then you didn't just take that and walk away. You leaned in. Well, how did that land? Like, what's going on? And you got curious and you asked a question, and then you got immediate feedback. And so it's the marriage of the external and the internal awareness. And so you're able to operate and move through life in a more aligned fashion. Like, that's incredible. And I'll give a personal example too. So very, very sadly, I lost my senior dog recently, and it's been devastating. I have his little Polaroids everywhere so I can see him. He's with me at all times, and I am grieving. I'm still grieving. And but when it first happened, of course, it's very raw. It's very potent. I am crying 24/7. I am just not in a good spot. So of course, I'm telling my team like, "Hey, when I'm ready to come back, I'm here, but I'm not going to be on camera as much. And we're going to do some things async." And that is okay because I'm self-aware and I'm communicating that and I'm letting them see that, like, hey, I'm a human going through a human emotion and experience, and things are going to look a little bit different until I'm back to a place where I am and want to be on camera, because I am self-aware and I understand that if I were to be on camera, it's not genuine. I'm not being real. I'm not really present. So what am I doing? Right. And that's fake to me. That's not holding integrity as a leader. And that's not being honest and true to myself and holding that space. But yet I would want everyone else to do that. But why wouldn't I? Right. And so it applies to everything.
Everything. And I'm so sorry about your dog.
Thank you, Diego. Yes, it's I can start talking about it without immediately going into tears. So, but yeah, he's my baby. I love him. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about healing with courage. So that was a deeply personal journey, as you've hinted at. Can you give us a little bit of like a high level overview, so I'm not stealing your thunder or ruining the book, but like, can you tell us a little bit about what led you to write it and what it's about?
Mm-hmm. So what led me to write it? It's poetry, which is quite shocking because I never knew I was a poet. Feel like that information would have been helpful at a younger age to know that I'm a poet, but I found out in my 40s. Okay. So it's my healing journey told through poetry. And it came up for me because things were coming up so strong and I almost wasn't able to process them. And then these words started flowing through me and I started writing them. And it turned into a book because I was sharing them here and there, and people were having such emotional reactions and just like pleading with me to share them more broadly. And it was really touching them. I was telling my story, and then all of a sudden, everybody else could relate in some way, shape, or form when I was sharing them. So then I said, okay, let me put this into writing, and I created it. What I really love about it, it's told through chapters, and it is actually a journey. So I call it my journey from dark to light, because one of the things that I really had to do on this journey of inner mastery is confront the dark parts of myself and the shadows. And then I talk through how it helps to have the mirror, the self-awareness piece of it, once you confront those parts of yourself. And then what's the light? Like, what did I learn? What did I learn about myself? How did I uncover the truth, underneath all of that, all of the stories and the narrative, and then eventually getting to courage. So courage is being able to share it boldly, being able to help people, being able to serve others. And I believe we all have it inside of us. And so one of the things that inner mastery does is activate courage, which is amazing because we really need some courage in this world all over the place right now. And so it's an origin story. I wrote it to inspire some people to go on that journey. I also wrote it so that people can see that they're not alone, that breaking, that unraveling, it's universal. And so in some way, shape, or form, if people pick it up and read it and, a poem or two relates to them, then it's done its work.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And curious, is Was there anything that you had to let go of in order to heal?
Yes. And it's like I had to get let go of what people would think when I shared those parts of myself, that what is she doing? What are people going to say? It's very strong in our society. It's very strong in my culture. It's it's just that's the thing that was the hardest to let go of because when you but I actually teach about vulnerability. I have a workshop about harnessing your vulnerability, and I said, if you take the thing that you might be ashamed of people finding out about, and you understand what you've learned from it, then you make it part of your story. No one can ever use it to hurt you anymore. It's because you basically turned the dark into light. You converted it. And so that's what I did. And it was hard, but it was so worth it.
Yeah, and I heard this recently. It's speaking from the scar, not the open.
Ooh.
And that's really like as you explain, going from the dark to the light, getting to that courage. And it's, if it's a scar, okay, it's healed and it's processed, and you now look at it and okay, now it's, what are the lessons, what are the blessings? Those are the words I usually use. What are the lessons, what are the blessings from this thing that quote unquote was perceived negative? Because I believe everything does happen for us, no matter how unjust or bad, just
Yes.
trauma.
Hmm.
But it does help build us, and there is some goodness and light and love that can be born from it. But that is on us, the MQ, y'all, to harness and to be able to use that as fuel and to hold on to our power, because we can only give it, we only give it away to that person 10 years ago that pissed you off, or the boss that screwed you out of your promotion, or maybe your wife or your husband cheated on you. And like those are like not good things, but you can learn from it and grow from it and evolve from it. And like our soul is meant to grow and evolve here. And there are those lessons and the light and all of these things, like in your book Healing with Courage, it's so good. And the poetry piece, that is so amazing. Like you're a poet, isn't that amazing? Like it's so cool.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know. Yeah, but the
I know.
poems keep flowing, so I'm writing the next one. So we're just I know it's a series, so it's exciting. But while you were talking, it just made me think, is that saying which sounds so cliche, the turning your pain into purpose, or
Yeah.
using your pain for power or something like that. It's those are things that we say and we throw around, but they are actually really true. That if you can actually turn it around, um, it it really can serve a purpose.
Yeah, turning your mess into a message. And yeah, it is. And I find those like, oh, the cliche, or like, oh, you've heard it. It's like, yeah, but there's truth in it. And as you said, like the journey to uncover the truth. And it is a journey, and it's unique and beautiful and divine for all of us. And some may take certain modalities or vehicles or books, conferences, coaches, frameworks, and maybe a little bit of A, a little bit of B, but do what works for you and do more of it. And the important thing is that you are on the journey and you are uncovering the truth, because so many of us operate with limiting beliefs, limiting whatever, and we don't realize that we're being controlled, right? Again, as Nami said, like your mind is a tool and we must use it or it will use you. And so it is a wake up call of sorts, an awakening, a reckoning, a journey, the inner mastery, all of the things.
As you were talking, I was thinking what came to mind is one of my most famous poets and famous quotes, Rumi, and he says the quote says, "And you, are you ready to go into that journey into yourself? On that journey into yourself, actually, is what he says. That's the one. Are you?"
Yeah. And it requires raw honesty, and it requires courage. And like you said, introspection. And a lot of people are very scared to do that, because they buried things from their childhood or a teenager or years ago or even a year ago or a month ago. And I don't want to face that because it hurts, or I don't want to process that, or I want to think about it. And, there's a lot to unpack. But Nami, so you refuse to stay buried. Like you are in a beautiful example of the human spirit. And I would love to hear what you believe about people's capacity to transform and change their lives? What do you believe about that?
Mm. It's infinite. I believe that their capacity to transform and change their lives is infinite, and it is just going to come down to courage. Do they have the courage to go on that journey? And you mentioned something about the pain. Oh my gosh, yes, it is painful, but the cure for the pain is in the pain. That's the way it's designed. So if you can have courage to go to that place, the root of the pain, the dark, whatever you want to call it, like the inside, that is actually where the key is. And that once you go there and you know what's really transformational is once you start, then you appreciate so much the transformation that you can keep you keep building the courage to then go a little further or go a little deeper or whatever you want to say and like uncover more and do more. It's that first step of the journey, that first part of going into the pain or confronting the dark parts of yourself or and being having that compassion when things show up rather than just like numbing it or shunning it. That part, the first time, is the hardest, but then once you see the reward of that transformation, then you can keep transforming, keep evolving, keep unlearning, and then relearning. It's just you know, it's just a really amazing journey. And the possibilities are infinite if we just have the courage to do it.
Yeah, unlearning is the learning. And where the pain is, where the wound is, where the darkness, the shadow, again, whatever word you want to call it, that's where the medicine is.
Yes.
And when you realize that, it's not enough. You got to have the courage to move forward with it and then get ready, buckle up. Your life is about to change. Everything about you is changing. Your life, your business, your relationships, everything will change. And as Nami said, the first step is the hardest. It is. And it does require courage. And I would love to say, what is courage? But I have the fear and I'm moving anyways. It's not the absence of feeling scared. It's not the absence of, oh my God, what am I about to do? And then you do it anyways. That is courage. And then as she said, okay, the first step's the hardest, but then guess what? The second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, whatever that is, you're going to build momentum. That's the law. That's the way it works, right? Like things in motion, stay in motion. Here we go again. Science. We can't help ourselves.
Yes,
But it's true.
it's true.
And
It's
so
really
have
true.
love and grace for yourself in that first step. Let it be messy. Let
Yeah.
it be imperfect. Perfect doesn't even exist. And then in time, you're going to be able to build that momentum and more courage, as she so eloquently described. And that's exactly where the keys are. That's where the medicine is. What you've been avoiding. What we resist persists.
Persists. Yeah. And something that you said, and it made me think. So a lot of times I used to not want to do it because I didn't want things to change. I was like, oh, I have these relationships. I don't want them to change. I have my marriage. I don't want it to change. I have, this family. Like we all do this waltz together. My spiritual teacher talks about how like we're all in the waltz. And when you go on the journey, you start doing a different dance, probably the jig or something like that, that no one else knows. But what we don't realize is that it gets better. Like it doesn't change in a negative way. It changes in a way that you start to be more aligned on the inside. So your circumstances sometimes don't even change. A lot of mine did, but at first I could have kept them the same. That was by choice. They didn't change because I was being moved around by the universe. They changed because I now had decided and I have a vision for my future, and that's the one that I'm implementing. So they're still changing by choice. By going on that journey, it wasn't like it's like things were not happening to me. Now everything is by design.
I love that. The dance example. I think that is so on point because a lot of times when if you do nothing, nothing changes, right? But when you start to do something different, a lot of people in your or life are going to look at that and that's a new dance. And they
Yeah.
may cast judgment. They might throw stones. They
Yeah.
may not understand. They could be neutral or they just might not be supportive. They may not say anything, but you're like, guys, oh my God, like I am like, this is so exciting. And you're like so jazzed about this new dance. And you were like, oh my, you just want to scream it from the rooftops. Like, you're just so excited, but others may not share that.
Yes.
And that is a hard lesson. And this is where I see so many people get hung up. And I'd love to hear if you see this, that they start it and then they're not getting the immediate, the people pleasing, the immediate support they need. And they're like, ugh. And I'm like, no, no, no. When you're climbing a mountain, not everyone's going to be able to climb with you. They get altitude sickness, right? Like David Kitchen loves to talk about this. And I want to make sure he gets credit for that. And it's like, you're going to get altitude sickness. Some people aren't meant to climb that journey with you, and
Yes.
they're gonna have to let go. You're gonna have to let them go. You give them the tools, you tell them what they need to do, you bless and you release and you love them, right? You
Yes.
bless and love them and release them, but they're not meant to come along, because then what are you gonna do? Stop your climb, stop your journey?
I love that's a really good example, and I think one that's really I probably needed to hear because there is something to that, climbing that mountain piece. My spiritual teacher, Kathy Walden, she said, she said the last part of that, she says, either they'll learn the jig or they'll get off the dance floor.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So that's the second piece of it. And let me tell you, the ones who did learn the jig, the relationships are better. Like they're like the same people who I had really fractured relationships with learned the jig, and now those relationships are so much healthier. And some people did leave the dance floor, and that's okay because in place came some peace and love and light, and that's also fine. And it was really hard during the process, right? Like the what you were saying about climbing the mountain, it can be challenging, but you just have to like really, really, really believe in that vision that you have. So, you know, even right now, like I'm going through a transformation with my career, and I really do believe, like I have a vision for the future and I have so much belief in it that whatever falls off along the way or however things change, or, I'm not I don't know exactly how it's going to happen because I'm not super attached to the outcome. But what I am attached to is like the feeling of that vision, some type of freedom, some type of peace, some type of like, it's not even the goal, it's the intention behind the vision that's really important. So if you cling to that and you believe in that, then the climb up the mountain gets easier.
Yeah, because you know that when you're on top of the mountain, you have the most beautiful view, and the only way you can achieve that view is when you get to the top. And again, like you so beautifully stated, it is about that feeling, right? Because the outcome could be even better than you imagined.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, okay, I'm not saying don't have goals, have them, have that vision, but it's like that feeling and the sponsoring thought, as I like to call it. Like, we want the view, but like, why do we want it? We want to feel like, wow, like just God's world. This is so beautiful, and being outside and freedom. And so it's kind of like pulling the thread, like, well, why do you want this thing? Or why is it important? Or I affectionately call it the so what factor. Oh, you want $1 million. So what? Why? And then you keep answering it and you keep digging and digging and digging and you understand. But, and I want to, one other thing to pull out that you just said was, you understand that no matter what, things could change, because your passion and just vision is so strong, and that feeling, things could change. People might fall, people might come and go, but that is stronger than the changes that could happen in your life. And that is a big one right there. Like, that is a mic drop moment, that like my vision, like I'll just say building tactical harmony. It's not perfect. What business is perfect? And, struggling and, getting some victories. And what about this? And how does this work? But my vision for tactical harmony is way bigger than a bad day, than a speaking gig I may or may not have gotten, or no, it's way bigger than that. It's way bigger, and we should talk about that. So thank you for sharing that, because that is a huge lesson I want people to really think about, is what you want so badly is going to be more important than the other things that might fall off or change.
Mhm. Yeah, and you can put that in any context. It could be in business, it can be in your role in your company, it can be in your family life, it can be for your home, it can be for yourself as an individual. It's just like that North Star that just has to shine like really bright so that you keep walking to it.
Yes, which requires introspection, so you know
Mhm.
what you are, what your values are, like, okay, I think
Yes.
we've covered that. Okay, so Nami, what do you do for you? What is your secret sauce? Like, what do you do that brings you joy and light? Like, behind the scenes, Nami.
Okay. Creativity is huge for me. So if I have free time, I'm either doing floral design or I am writing or I'm playing the piano or I'm working on making something beautiful. I like to take things and make them beautiful. That's like something that completely just fills my cup. Like the act of creativity is something I really truly love. And I also really do love spending time with family and friends. It's just that's like a non-negotiable for me. That also fills my cup. So those are things that I love. And I never would have called myself a creative growing up. I didn't, well, I mean, I'm a scientist. I, I never would have thought I'm a creative, but that's actually who I am. I just was surprised to learn it along the way. Both, a little bit of both.
So much love and light is like it's pouring out of you, like your nonverbals are screaming. Like, you're like, I am a creative, right? Like what you say after I am is so powerful. Your subconscious mind is listening. And as you were saying, you're like, yes, I am a creative, like from playing the piano to floral design to writing poetry. And she's a scientist. And so that's another thing is like this and that. You can be this and you can be that.
Yes, it can
Don't
be
let
both.
anyone put you in a box because you are the only one that's putting yourself in a box or color within the lines. Like you can be all of the things. Like there's a lot of people that if they know me in this journey, they're shocked that I was a special agent. I had someone say to me, they're like, wow, you're really nice. I can't believe you were law enforcement. I know. First of all right, stereotype there. Law enforcement, right? And we just were like, but also like, yeah, right? Because I can immediately go into officer presence and the authority and what I need to do when I'm investigating a crime or when I'm interrogating a subject. And yeah, there's heavy topics and very serious ones in national security. But I'm also the goofy person that wants to have fun. I'm singing a horrible singing voice, but I'm like singing and dancing and I'm cooking and I'm playing with my dogs and I'm making them dance with me and like this and that. So like she has all these beautiful like I'm sorry, corporate leadership 20 plus years and she's an author and a coach like and she's doing floral. It's like you can be all these parts of you. Embrace it. That's why
Yes.
she's so successful because she nurtures herself. It's called soul care.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I do love baths. I feel
Bath.
like baths.
Oh,
I just my favorite thing ever. 3 a week.
really?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I just started to get into it. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, just a couple of months ago, I'm in my bath era. Is it like a 40s thing? I don't know, but I'm like in
Like,
my bath era.
it is like just if I have a couple hours free and my kids are out and it's just me, there is nothing that I will do other than that is the first thing on my to-do list.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Right after Pilates class. Pilates class, bath. Like there's nothing more perfect than that.
well, that is good. That's a good combination. Pilates and then getting into a warm bath and like easing your muscles and
Yes. Yes, that is
nervous
like
system regulation. So what are you excited about? What's on deck for you? What's
oof.
exciting in your world?
I am really excited because I have created the time and space to focus on the mind quotient. So we're building an app and that is about to yes. That is what we're working on. We want to make it accessible for everyone. So there will be some in different levels, tiers and all of that, but that is going to take it's going to take the framework and make it accessible. And so that is big, and that's what I'm working on. And the meantime, coaching and speaking. So that's what I'm doing in the background of spreading the word about the inner mastery and unlocking capacity and unleashing our courageous leaders all over because we need them. And that, and yes, on my second book.
Yes.
Yeah, my second book, which
Of
will be
course.
published.
Thank God you're doing that. That's like so exciting. I'm in your first book. I haven't finished it, but oh my God, it's incredible. Okay. So I only have a couple more questions in interest of time. What is one of the best pieces of advice that you have received?
It was from the best piece of advice I've ever received was actually from my mother, who got it from a book, 40 Rules of Love. Alif Shafak, and it's about Rumi and his partner Shams Tabriz. And Tabriz, or I'm probably saying it wrong, but it says there's a passage in there, and it ends with "Don't go with the flow, be the flow," and that just shifted the way, like flow. What you mentioned flow earlier, but there's something about being the flow. When you go with the flow, you might be moved around by the way that, you know, circumstances, people around you, energy, and all that. But when you're being the flow, you are the flow. You are the creator. You are the one who is designing, but in conjunction with whatever power you want to believe in, even if it's your inner self and your higher self. So whatever it may be, that shifted. That it was that moment that I finally like got it. And I was like, that's what I want. I just always want to be the flow. So I started just telling myself all the time, be the flow, be the flow, be the flow. When I felt myself resisting situations, I would tell myself, be the flow, navigate, see where it goes, see where it's taking you, just, but be with it, be present, be co creating. And so that's probably the best piece of advice slash quote.
Beautiful. And it's so resonating with me right now. Like, I feel like I manifested this because, which I did, because I'm an active manifester. That's another conversation. But yeah. So you've heard of Dr. Wayne Dyer? Like,
Yes.
yes,
Love
right?
him.
Yes.
Love him. Yes.
This is actually a very precious moment. I'm really excited to share it with you. So I don't know how, but it became my song with Diego. A song that he sang with Diego, and it's "Row, row, row your boat." And it was this passage that I saw in a teaching from Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it became this beautiful song that I would sing to Diego, my dog who just passed. And I actually recorded a video of me singing this to Diego the night before he passed. Everything was beautiful and perfect. And now I'm looking back, and there's so much to pull out of it. And here's why: row, row, row your boat. Your boat. You're not rowing someone else's boat. You're rowing your boat. And how do you do that? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Be the flow, as Nami was saying, right? So I'm not forcing it. I'm not trying to control it. I'm with the flow. I'm gently down the stream. And how? Merrily, 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 merrily. I'm doing it merrily. Life is but a dream. Right? I have goosebumps, and I've watched that video of me singing this to Diego more times than I can count. And I was drawn to it, and it became our song. And I'm like, what? Why? Right? And I believe animals are spiritual teachers. They teach us all the things that we need. It's like children, right? And I actually wrote a book about it, the many lessons they teach us. But this song, I'm like, what? And, as I'm moving with the grief, and as I'm, looking back, I'm like, oh, wow. Like, that was Diego's final, like, surrender, Ma. You can't control my exit point, right? Like, you love me so much, and I do, and I always will. But it was a lesson from him. It's a lesson of life and business and relationships and money. What is money but currency? Current, coming in, coming out. That is money. And I'm like, whoa, like mind blown. And I'm still picking it apart and experiencing it. But as you just so beautifully stated, like, hey, be the flow, be present. It's the flow. You were co creating. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream.
That's so beautiful. I'm feeling like so emotional.
I know. I have chill. Like, I'm literally, it's incredible, but it's everything that you just said. And it's Dr. Wayne Dyer. And look that passage up. It is so, like, it lands. It's everything. It's life. It's love. It's source. It's your creator, whatever you believe in.
Yes.
Hmm. Okay. I didn't mean to put you in tears.
That's beautiful. I mean, wow. Whew. And
Yeah.
beautiful that you did that with your dog, with Diego.
Yeah, it was very hard. When I watch it, I definitely have tears of joy, tears of grief, tears of everything. And before I ask you your last question, you referenced Rumi a few times, and I don't have it in front of me, but I have in my little wallet, I have just like a little, like a tiny little wallet where I just have my credit cards, and there's a little post-it note that I have folded over, and I've had it since I was in college. And it's a saying, and I don't even have it memorized, but it's something like, let the human spectrum of emotions wash all over you. Like, just let them like, let the beauty wash over you, let the horror wash over you, like, let everything wash all over you. And I don't know if it's roomy or not. I'm like, gosh, is it? Like, I gotta even see who the person, I was in college and that resonated. I've always kept it in my wallet. I mean, I'm in my 40s. Like, what? I gotta go check that out. But that seems very pertinent, and I felt called to share it here with you.
Wow. You know, what a gift, right? To feel all those emotions, the gift of human life. It's I often get told that I'm so emotional, so emotive, so emotional. I feel so deeply. And I was like, yeah, that's the point. What a gift we get. Even the really how like really really terrible emotions like that you can feel, like the pain and the anger and the betrayal, but the joy and the laughter and the fun and the, well, wow, like, and they're all here to give us their gift of life. And it's just really, I wear that as a badge of honor, being really truly emotional. Yes, I feel things really deeply. Wow, lucky me. What a blessing.
Yeah, and it is a North Star for those who might feel numb
Mhm.
or aren't at a point where they feel like they can't, but they absolutely can. And you help them tap into that through all of your work and your coaching and your soon to be app. Oh my gosh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Like, so, okay, last question for you before we part ways. I ask this question to everybody is what message or takeaway or theme do you want our audience to walk away with here today? Like, what if they heard nothing else but this one clip, what is a message that you would like to leave?
Focus on yourself, on your inner self. If you just take that lens and just flip it, and we have such an external lens with, social media and with society. And I'm not talking about a selfie lens. I'm talking about the inner reflective lens. I think I want to be super clear about that because lots of people will be like, I am thinking about myself. No, 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 no. With the phone down, think about yourself and just start to examine yourself and understand yourself. And then everything, you just shift that lens and everything will unfold from there.
Well, to that end, where can people find you if they want to hire you as a coach, hear you speak, your book, your future book, your app, like all of the things in your world, where can we direct them to go find you?
Everything is under the same handle. It's Coach Nami, Nami. So Instagram, TikTok, Nami Prakash for LinkedIn, Prakash. And then there will be links to the MQ check-in and everything under all of my handles. And that's where my content is. Please connect with me. Love to hear from you. And yeah, let's master our minds.
Let's do it. I will make sure all of those in the show notes below as per usual. This was amazing. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for what you are doing in this world. It is so important, and I'm so grateful for you. I'm going to call you a friend and a fellow co-creator. And thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. It was just the fastest time that I've ever had speaking with someone. I'm also wishing that you lived down the street so we could hang out, but
I love it. Well, this will be part one of many. And again, thank you for your time.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me.